It is Graham here, living the dream in July 2022. And as you know, if you're watching this series so far, Fiona and I are at the Sandals Montego Bay here in Jamaica. In fact, it all started for Sandals just over 40 years ago at this very resort in 1981. And as you can see from the introduction card to this very video, this is our ever popular resort and room tour. At this point, I do want to say that over 80% of you are not subscribed to our Living the Dream channel. If you want to continue to follow Fiona and I as we enjoy this fantastic resort here in Jamaica, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon to be notified when the next video is published. Before I take you on this resort tour, I want to explain that it's just after 6:15 on Saturday morning and the resort isn't quite awake yet. And I do this to protect the other guests, and that of course means reducing the number of guests that end up in this video. So let's go and take a look at Sandals Montego Bay. I filmed my introduction to this episode just outside the front of the resort, which is located behind the secure gates, and on the other side of the road is the runway at Montego Bay International Airport, and I'll come back to that a little bit later on in this episode. But when you arrive off your transport from the airport, you arrive in this open planned lobby area, and this is where you will be welcomed by the wonderful staff here at the Sandals Montego Bay with cold towels before being taken off to Club Sandals to check in as we were, but I'll come back to the Club Sandals lounge again a little bit later on in this video. And if you want to follow Fiona and I as we make the very long 10-minute transfer from Montego Bay International Airport to this resort, just go back one episode to video number 201. And here you can see the Sandals on-site tour desk, and that's where you will go to book all of your tours while you're staying here at the Sandals Montego Bay. We also just passed the reception desk on the opposite wall, but as this resort is 70% butler and the rest is Club Sandals, I'm going to make the assumption that very few of you will ever check in at the lobby reception. And this, guys, is the main bar, which is adjacent to the main lobby area, and as you can imagine, this is where things come to life at the Sandals Montego Bay at night. I hope you understand, guys, that I'm trying not to break YouTube copyright rules, but hopefully you got a little bit of an idea what to expect when the lobby bar area comes to life at night. And on the other side of the open to the air lobby is the Bayside restaurant. And this is where Fiona, Donna, Michael and I had dinner on the first night, and it's also where Fiona and I had breakfast every day except one during our July vacation. But let's face it, guys, the Bayside restaurant here at Montego Bay is no different from the Bayside restaurant at the Grand Antigua or the Grand St. Lucian. It's pretty standard French fare. It's very good, and we've enjoyed the Bayside and all of the Sandals we've visited over the years. And above the Bayside restaurant is Cucina Romana, the Italian restaurant. And on the other side of the pier is, of course, Tokyo Joe's, which I'll come back to a little bit later on in this episode. The menu at the Italian restaurant here at Montego Bay isn't that different from Italian restaurants across the other Sandals resorts that we've visited. And next to Cucina Romana is the Jamaican style restaurant known as Oleander. I'm going to be really blunt here, guys, because we were not that impressed with Oleander. Michael and I took the decision to order the signature pork dish, and in the spirit of complete openness, it was unedible, and without a doubt was the worst meal that we had in our 14 nights at Sandals Montego Bay in July 2022. As you can see, we are back at the open air side of the Bayside restaurant, and at this Bayside you can choose to eat inside or outside. As I said previously, Fiona and I had breakfast at the Bayside every morning except one. On that one morning we went upstairs to Cucina Romana, which which of course is the Italian restaurant at night and a la carte breakfast menu in the morning. I'm not going to say that there was anything wrong with Cucini Romanas in the morning for breakfast, but the food was pretty average and the service was very slow. And because the Bayside buffet style breakfast was so good, that is where Fiona and I tended to go every morning. And again, I'm going to say it in this video as I do in all of my Sandals reviews, the Bayside buffet restaurant in the morning is pretty similar no matter what Sandals you're staying in. There's plenty of choice from cold cuts for those European types through to omelettes made to order. And of course, there's plenty of options for a cooked breakfast if you're into sausages, bacon, eggs, hash browns, and so on. And you guessed it, guys, Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee is plentiful at every Sandals resort, especially here at the Montego Bay in Jamaica. The Sandals staff here are very proud of Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee, and so they should be. You can of course buy ground or beaned coffee bags at the Sandals on-site store, but again guys, it is much cheaper if you buy it outside. We bought quite a few bags in Montego Bay itself and brought them back here to the UK. Anyway, back to our tour as we leave the Bayside. Right opposite is guest services and the culinary desk, where you will book your evening meals, or should I say you will reserve a table at a restaurant if you're not butler service like we weren't. You can also reserve your restaurant tables at the Club Sandals Lounge if you're staying in Club Sandals category. But just like at the Sandals Antigua, we found the Club Sandals here at Montego Bay pretty hit or miss, in fact mainly miss. So if you're not a butler level, I'd recommend you just go to the culinary desk to reserve tables at the restaurant of your choice. But one restaurant you don't need to reserve here at Sandals Montego Bay is of course Tokyo Joe's, which is a Japanese stir-fry restaurant, which basically translates that you get a choice of starters from a menu and then you choose your ingredients that is cooked to order. This is not a replacement for the Kimono's hibachi restaurant that you will find at other Sandals resorts. It is something very different but equally excellent. And in fact, Fiona and I enjoyed Tokyo Joe's so much we went back the night after Donna and Michael left for the UK during our last 3 nights of our July 22 vacation. Okay, back to our tour of the Sandals Montego Bay and leaving Tokyo Joe's, we're now heading in the direction of the Oceanside rooms. And these are the Ocean View rooms, a 3-story block. On the ground floor, you've got both walkout rooms and, as you can see here, swim out rooms. And you will also see on the beach view side of the resort similar styled rooms, some of them newer than others. But we'll come back to that a little bit later on in the video. And as you can imagine, the main difference, guys, is you get to overlook the ocean and very little else on this side of the resort, while on the beach view side, yep, you guessed it, you get to see the beach as well. And which side is better, you may ask? Well guys, that's down to personal preference. Awesome friends Michael and Donna stayed at the ocean view side and Fiona and I stayed at the beach view side. So it is at this point in the resort tour I'm going to follow Donna up to room 320 on the top floor of this ocean view block and do my first room review. Right guys, room 320 is an ocean view penthouse club level suite with tranquility soaking tub. So it's exactly the same level as our room, except it's got an ocean view instead of a beach view. As you see, the bed is exactly the same nightstands or bedside cabinets, same 6 drawers and flat screen television. But this is where it gets a little bit different. Isn't her sink? Minibar. The question is, has their minibar been restocked? You gotta remember, Don and Michael are the special ones. And they had a fully stocked minibar, so the special ones, which are diamond level, must get their minibar restocked. I don't know, should I go into Donna's closet? Big walk-in closet. I'm not going to go any further. Oh, the light came on. They've brought a lot more clothes than Fiona and I. And the bathroom, toilet, shower. Now, this is a big shower. You can even sit in this shower. But it only has 1 shower, 2 showers, I don't know. Right. Not that different to our room, which was 6 or 7. You got 320 here, you've got the tranquility soaking tub and 2 seats. But Look at this view, guys. Absolutely beautiful is the ocean view. I mean, what else can you ask for? As I continue my walk back towards the lobby area on the other side of the ocean view rooms, they are all connected by this covered walkway. And on the other side of the covered walkway is the first of two chapels and of course the tennis courts. And like all of the Sandals that Fiona and I have visited over the years, the gardens at the Sandals Montego Bay here are looked after extremely well. And here we are approaching the Club Sandals Lounge. And if you go back one video to number 201, you will see Fiona and I as we check in at the Sandals Montego Bay. And this is where all Club Sandals guests check in. It's also where you can book reservations for your evening meal. But as I said earlier, we found doing it at the culinary desk a lot more reliable. And in the spirit of giving you an honest opinion of our stay at the Sandals Montego Bay in July 2022, if we'd been given a choice, guys, we wouldn't have bothered booking club level at all. It was pretty well non-existent when it came to club level service. The only Sandals resort that we have ever experienced excellent club level service, of course, is the Sandals Grand St. Lucian. And right opposite Club Sandals is the on-site sandal store here at Montego Bay. And I'm proud to admit I never visited it once during our 14 nights. And as I make my way back towards the central open-air lobby area, and this is where you will find the cricketer, Sandals' take on a traditional English pub, which in my opinion couldn't be any further away from a traditional English pub than you can get. And compared to the Sandals English pubs at the Grand Antigua and the Grand St. Lucian, this was tiny. And as you can see from this fairly dark video, we did eat there once. And as you can see, exiting the Cricketers pub on the right, we're back in the open air lobby area. And I'm heading in the direction of the beach side of the resort. And for all the men watching this video, guys, this is it for Colombian Emeralds. There is no Colombian Emeralds on site here at the Sandals Montego Bay. What a result is that? And as we exit the tunnel towards the beach side of the resort, you will find the Paris Cafe. And as you can see from my less than athletic build, I enjoy a cake, ice cream and coffee from the Paris Cafe. And in fact, we visited it every day at least once. And this, guys, is the smokers area next to the main pool. And while Fiona and I are not smokers, we are pool people, so we spent most of our days here at the Sandals Montego Bay in this very area next to the main pool. This pool is also where volleyball was played at 3 p.m. every afternoon. There's also a very nice hot tub, and the cabanas that you can see are not bookable. They're simply first come, first serve. And below me here is Dino's Pizza and Crepes and the Mariner's Grill, where Fiona, Donna, Michael and I ate lunch nearly every day. And next to Dino's and Mariner's is the Water Sports Centre. This is also the pool first thing in the morning, with a fantastic water sports team here on site at Sandals Montego Bay. Check that your PADI proficiency is up to date. Okay, before I leave the main pool area, I want to talk about plane spotting at the Sandals Montego Bay. Just over over 100 metres behind me, guys, is the main runway 0725 at Sangster International Airport, which is also the international airport here at Montego Bay. Aircraft movement started around 10 AM in the morning and they complete at around 9 PM at night. So don't be worried, guys, if you see low-flying aircraft at the Sandals Montego Bay. As a self-confessed avgate, I love it, guys. I love seeing the aeroplanes taking off. They're typically taking off on runway 07 because the winds here are predominantly eastern in this part of Jamaica. We have seen a couple of aircraft take off in the opposite direction, mainly due to storms. If it worries you guys that you're going to see as many aircraft movements while staying at the Sandals Montego Bay, I have two things to say to you. Don't worry at all. The aircraft are lovely to see. They're not annoying at all and they will never disturb your sleep. If you're still not convinced, well guys, you should really do your research before coming to this resort. The aeroplanes are not a problem, I can assure you. As I leave the main pool area, I do want to talk about two areas that really let this resort down. The first being pool towels. You can see this large pool station at the main pool on the resort is empty, and guys, it was empty most of our 2 weeks. For some unknown reason, Sandals management took the decision to outsource the laundry of said pool towels, and that laundry facility is on the south coast, more than 2 hours drive from the Sandals Montego Bay. For those of you who have visited Jamaica before, you will all understand that the roads are pretty awful. Adding a near 5-hour return journey for the pool towels from the Sandals Montego Bay to the south coast and back again meant that the towels very rarely arrived first thing in the morning. About halfway through our first week, we realised the trick was when towels were delivered, we grabbed 2 each, we took them up to our room and we kept them until the next day. So while Fiona and I did find a workaround for the towel situation, given what you pay for a Sandals vacation, it is completely ridiculous to find yourself in this situation regarding pool towels, a situation that we've never experienced in any Sandals we've visited over the last 9 years. Anyway, as we continue my walk on the beach view side of the Sandals Montego Bay Resort, we come to the first block on our left, which is where Fiona and I spent the first 11 nights of our vacation here in July 2022. And it's here in the resort tour that I'm going to take another break and do another room review, this time room 607. Okay guys, this is our room for at least the first 11 nights of our Moby 70 nights in the making vacation here in July 2022. And if you noticed last year, if you remember from last year's video, I complained bitterly about the old magnetic strip keys the Sandals were using. I had a few issues with the content that I had recorded for this room tour. So jumping back to the day that Fiona and I arrived, the lovely lady from Club Sandals gave us our RFID keys, which accessed the room. The big difference with the RFID keys means that you're not having to constantly go back to reception and change your key from the old 1970 styles magnetic strip that we saw at the Sandals Grand Antigua last year, which I had to go back and change my key 3 or 4 times every week. Anyway, let's get back to the room tour and join me in the bathroom. The bottom line being that the bathroom in room 607 had been refurbished. It was very modern, very spacious, and really did everything that you would expect from a bathroom, including this fantastic shower with 2 rainfall heads. Other than that, guys, it's a pretty cool bathroom. I suppose it's a long single sink, very modern, his and hers taps. Fiona's more than happy. She hates sharing a sink with me, shaving every morning. Right, let's get into the room itself, and it's a pretty modern and well-appointed room. Air conditioning unit is just above here with the control unit there. It is very effective, as we've found in all of the Sandals we've visited over the years. We have a ceiling fan and we're using it. It's really adds a lot of comfort to our room here overnight. We're not used to the heat. We love it, but we're not used to it. So coming around here, we have the mini bar. And as you can see, this is a club level room, so it is stocked with liquor, or yeah, I think it's the Americans would call liquor, or typically top shelf alcohol. We then have the fridge down here, and if I zoom in, it's not very well stocked, to be quite honest. In fact, we have complained our fridge hasn't been restocked in the last couple of days, and it's a complaint that I've made to the Sandals management this morning. Great news is Red Stripe beer is plentiful here in Jamaica, which of course it should be, and I'm enjoying Red Stripe all the time. But actually, it's been really hard to get orange juice, and they say that they only top up the mini bars with mixed fruit juices, so we've been drinking water in the room overnight. Moving on to the wardrobe, it's actually pretty substantial. Double doors. It does have a light in it. If I wave here, it might come on. Sounds like it is. There we go. It is coming on. And I say plenty of hanging space, extra pillows, blankets, etc. And in here, just above the cases, you can see there is a safe. Something that, again, we're using all the time. There is an iron and ironing board. So, not that I'm ever going to use one of those on vacation, never mind normally in life. So it is there if you need an ironing board. Moving over to the bed here in our room at the Sandals Montego Bay. Again, with all Sandals, it doesn't disappoint. It is what we would refer to in the UK as a super king size bed. Very comfortable. Again, we have found all of the beds at Sandals Resorts really comfortable. Moving over to the bedside cabinets, as we refer to them in the UK, or nightstands as they're referred to in the US. Again, plenty of drawer space. Fiona has moved across the coffee making machine because there are double 110 US plug points behind each of the nightstands, along with 2 USB points. So again, really well appointed here at the Sandals Montego Bay in this particular room. Over here we have a flat screen TV hanging on the wall. We don't watch a lot of TV when we're on holiday, so it's not really a big deal for us. But the cabinet here has 6 drawers, and that's been a problem at a number of the Sandals resorts. There's not enough drawer storage. No such problems here at the Sandals Montego Bay. 6 drawers, plenty of storage in this particular room. And finally, on the other side of the bed, or what I refer to as my side of the bed, there is a little working station here, a desk, lamp, telephone, and again there's a double USB socket along with a double 110 US electric socket plug. So again, plenty of points to charge your phones, laptops, iPads, and so on. Okay, the last thing that I want to show you is the veranda, which you access through these lockable sliding doors. This is what they call a beach view room, which I'll come back to a little bit later. But as you can see, there's a table with 2 fairly comfortable chairs, and this particular room here has a Tranquility soaking tub, which Fiona and I haven't used yet, so I can't really comment on it. For privacy, there are curtains which can be pulled across, and that then leaves us with the view overlooking the beach. As you can see, there's a volleyball area, there's a little games area, and the restaurant that you're seeing across there is Dino's and the Mariners. And then beyond that is the main building that is the home to Sandals Montego Bay, the Italian restaurant, and the bayside below it. So again, it's a pretty nice room with a pretty reasonable view that we're certainly not complaining about and we're enjoying. That was room 607, the room that Fiona and I spent the first 11 nights of our Moby 70 Nights in the Making adventure. Because we changed our original booking and the resort being at a very high occupancy rate of over 99%, we couldn't have room 607 for all 14 nights, and that meant that we had to move room, or should I say downgrade room, for the last 3 nights. I also have to apologise, that was a pretty poor room review. It's a bit late once I'm back home and editing these videos when I realised that some of the content that I took wasn't great at all. Anyway, you got the picture. That was room 607. So back to our tour of the Sandals Montego Bay. We're heading towards Soy and Butch's, two very popular restaurants at this awesome resort. And while you're waiting to be seated in either of these two restaurants, you get to enjoy more drinks at this wonderful outdoor bar. And because I'm allergic to seafood, Soy was certainly not a restaurant that I was going to risk. But we did visit Butch's 3 times during our 14 nights. The first 2 nights, the food was absolutely excellent, and the third night, well, we had to send our main course back. And then the replacement meal wasn't that great either. So in the words of Meatloaf, that wonderful singer that we lost earlier this year, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Okay, continuing on with our tour along the back of the Sandals Montego Bay, you will come across the Crystal Lagoon Suites, which I think is a fairly new block of rooms at this resort. And as you can see, there are no towels here either at the Crystal Lagoon towel station. Anyway, moving on to our third room review. On our last day at the Sandals Montego Bay, we were moved to a room on the 3rd floor of this block. Okay guys, this is going to be the last room review that I do during Moby 7 nights in the making. So the situation is, it is Wednesday morning. Fiona and I are flying back to London tonight on Virgin Atlantic. That's going to come in a future video. Now, we've had to check out of our room before 11 AM. That was room 708. But the lovely management team on site here, led by Christopher, who's a really awesome guy, have given us a room for the day because we're not due to be picked up to go to the airport until 5 o'clock. So we have this room. We're not really going to use it for much other than to shower later on. So we're going to spend the day here in the resort enjoying Sandals Montego Bay, and then what we will do is we will come back to this room, we'll shower, we'll get changed for our flight home. So I thought I would just give you a quick tour of this room. Well, you can see it's got a little sitting area and another TV, minibar and a sink. It is a butler level room. The bed here is a beautiful, I don't want to use the word ornate because it's not an old fashioned, it's a really modern feel 4-poster bed. I think it's very tasteful, very modern. So I keep using the word modern here. It does seem to be a fairly up-to-date room. This building is at the back of the resort. I will show you that in a few minutes. Bedside tables, again, plenty of 110 US sockets with USB. This chest of drawers here, again 6 drawers, more USB sockets here, another TV, and then walking around to the other side of the bed you have this lovely big walk-in closet. The light has come on with a safe in the corner. I see we've got no clothes hung up because our cases are here. We're all packed and ready to go to the airport. So coming in, air conditioning, just the same unit up here. It's again very efficient and it's cooling the room really good. The bathroom is going to be very similar to the one that we had in 607 and 708 for 9 nights of our vacation here at Sandals Montego Bay. Bathroom is fine and nothing that different that you haven't seen on this channel before during this stay. So there's little else to show you in this room other than I will travel back through past the beautiful 4-poster bed, into the little sitting area. I've just put my case there, a little settee, 2-seater, mini bar, sink, second television, and then walking out to the veranda, 2 nice chairs to sit on, another soaking tub, and a unit there to hang your clothes to dry. The view here is pretty stunning over the resort. That building over there is the building we stayed in for 9 nights of our vacation, and that is the building over there with the room that we had, 1280 for one of the nights. That was the room that was, to be quite honest guys, subpar, pretty poor, in bad need of a refurbishment. This pool down here, this lazy river pool, is absolutely gorgeous guys. The bottom floor, if I hang the camera over here without dropping it, I have got swim up rooms. If I was coming back, I think I would potentially look for one of those rooms. If they're anything like this one, it's absolutely gorgeous. I would never take butler level. I would feel very uncomfortable having a butler. I think Fiona and I have both said that. We had a butler on one of our trips many years ago, and to be honest with you, I think we used him twice, and we felt pretty uncomfortable doing it. But the room here is beautiful. This lazy river, by the way, is roasting warm. It's not like getting into the sea anywhere. I just can't explain it. It's like getting into a bath. It's really nice and warm. I don't believe it is heated. I don't think you would need to heat it here in Jamaica. But again, it's a really nice feature at the Sandals Montego Bay. So that's it, guys. That is room 1009. I will try and find this category of room when I get back to the UK, and I'll post it in a caption below this segment of the video. Guys, I recorded a lot of this footage out of order, so there are 2 more rooms to review in this video. So let's get on with our walk around the Sandals Montego Bay, and starting with the swim-up bar, which I believe was the first swim-up bar ever built at a resort in the Caribbean. You can access it via the beach or across this little bridge which goes over another little lazy river. And here is the swim-up bar itself. Remember guys, it's probably only around 7 AM now, so it is absolutely dead quiet. But I can assure you, from mid-morning onwards, it livens up, and it's probably the most lively part of this entire resort. I think Fiona and I referred to it as the Club 1830s section of Sandals Montego Bay. Needless to say, we only visited this bar once during our 14 nights. And it's not a criticism at all, guys. It is just not our thing. Anyway, as I continue my walk at the back of the Sandals Resort, it is time to do our 3rd room review, this time room 1280, which is in this small garden block and is one of the lower category beach view rooms. It's Sunday evening. Fiona and I have been moved to a new room, which is 1280, which is probably one of the oldest blocks on the property. As you can see, we're having to negotiate workmen's benches just to get to the room, trip over those. That's not great, guys. It's a pretty poor room. It's definitely from a past. Back to magnetic strips from the 1970s. At least it does work, I'll give it that. And then we come into a room that, quite frankly, it was probably like this in 1981 when Sandals first opened at this resort, starting the entire Sandals experience, which I'm sorry, 40 years on is not great. It's dark, drawers are flimsy and clumsy, and it's just not great, to be quite frank. Moving on, I mean, it could be a beautiful room. I mean, it's the same room as Donna and Michael's, if I could find lights. Moving into the bathroom, toilet. Got a nice bath, but the shower's over the bath, and as you probably know, all of the Sandals resorts have been replacing these old baths with showers. Again, exactly the same as Don and Michael's room that we showed you in an earlier video. Room 320 it's a room that's very like this one, same design, but has been renovated. This one hasn't. It's like something out of the 1980s, but not great. Let's see if I can get some more light on. No light there. So, double sink, quite nice, I suppose. Not again something out of the 1980s. Mini bar, got liquor up there, fridge down there. I think it's stocked okay. Yep, I've got a bottle of fizz in there, some water, some Red Stripes. That's really all we need. Can't really fault that. And in here is a walk-in closet. Again, it's a great space. Safe is there as well. So again, it could be an absolutely beautiful room. Sandals had spent a little bit of money down this end of the resort and modernised. As you can see, if you're on the side of the bed, let's get this old, definitely out of the 1980s, rickety drawer lamp. And coming round the bed, you've got a TV, haven't bothered switching it on yet. Got some 6 drawers here. Again, I mean, it's just tired, and it needs an upgrade. I mean, look at this. I mean, look at the gap in this door from the outside. Doesn't really give a lot of confidence. And then in my bedside cabinet, the drawer's knackered, absolutely knackered. USB sockets don't work. They're quite frankly broken. People have been pushing too hard, and they are broken. Luckily, I brought my own USB adapter, so I've got 4 USB sockets for myself, which is not too bad. Again, just moving on to the outside. It's not bad veranda, really, is it? Mm-hmm. Overlooking latitudes. So that's the veranda. Anyway, back to the beach at the Sandals Montego Bay. It is a really good beach. It's fantastic. There are lots of loungers, but that is another problem that I'll come back to very shortly. The thing that I wanted to point out here is there are 4 or 5 piers. One of the piers being the home to the second little chapel, and another pier being the home to Latitude Bar, which I'll come back to a little bit later as I continue my walk around this fantastic resort. And I accept, guys, that it must sound like I'm moaning sometimes while I'm doing this resort and room tour. This resort isn't perfect, but none of the Sandals resorts really are. So my objective of these videos is to show you both the good and the bad, and then let you decide whether you want to visit this resort yourselves. And as you can see, we're back at some swim-up rooms. I love these swim-up rooms. I've never stayed at one at a Sandals resort in the past. Fiona and I have at another brand of resort in the Dominican Republic a number of years ago. But if we ever come back to this resort, I definitely think we'll be choosing a swim-up room. But for the next couple of minutes, you're going to be glad to hear that I'm going to shut up and take you down to this little chapel on the pier and show you some video and photographs that I took. Right, let's leave the chapel and head to the next pier, which of course is the home to Latitude. Another one of the many bars at the Sandals Montego Bay. And in the evening, guys, this pier is absolutely gorgeous. It's lit up and it comes to life. There are also these little seating areas the entire length of the pier up to Latitude's bar. And the bar itself is very impressive, with netted areas overhanging the sea around the bar at the end of this pier. Plenty of places for you to enjoy, lying around, relaxing, and enjoying each other's company with a cold drink in your hand. And I can tell you from experience, guys, it's a really nice place to spend between the beach and going out for dinner in the evening. So that, guys, is Latitude on the pier. But as you can see, the beach is what defines this fantastic resort that is the Sandals Montego Bay. And if you fancy snuggling up to your loved one in one of these fantastic hammocks over the sea, I can tell you again from experience, guys, they are great fun. But back on the beach, it's time to finish off my resort and room tour by walking back towards the main resort itself, past the numerous piers along the beach. And it's at this point I'm going to have my last moan of the resort and room tour and talk to you about what has been affectionately called on the various Sandals Facebook page Butlergate. We first noticed this problem last year at the Sandals Grand Antigua. What's happening between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. most mornings? You will see the butlers out on the beach, placing towels and therefore blocking the sun loungers for any other guests. Now you may think that's no big deal and perfectly acceptable for the money you will pay for a butler level room. Well, guys, I should tell you that what was happening here in Montego Bay was pretty ridiculous. In fact, it was completely outrageous because some guests were getting their butlers to block up to 6 chairs per couple. 2 chairs in the shade, 2 chairs out in the sun, and 2 chairs for their beach junk. But when you consider that the Sandals Montego Bay is 70%, yes guys, 70% butler level rooms, this pretty unacceptable behaviour from some guests and their butlers simply means there are no sun loungers for the rest of the guests on the resort. But of course the poor behaviour of some guests don't stop there, because many of these butler level guests never even took up the right to use their sun loungers. Now Sandals say that if the sun loungers aren't taken by 10 a.m, they're free for anyone to take. But to be absolutely clear, folks, I don't believe it is the job of any guest to reclaim sun loungers, and quite honestly, it did mean there was more than a few angry scenes on the beach most mornings at the Sandals Montego Bay. In my opinion, beach loungers should be available to all guests on a first come, first served basis. I don't think it should be a privilege of butler level guests to be able to block these loungers. It's clear that this challenge has become a problem at a number of Sandals resorts and not just here at the Sandals Montego Bay. And I do think that it is about time the Sandals management deal with it once and for all. As I arrive back outside the main central area at the Sandals Montego Bay and therefore the Bayside restaurant, this is also where you will find the water sports centre during the day. Because it is Saturday morning and just before 8 a.m, none of the small boats or hobby cats have been taken down to the beach yet, but they did that between 8 and 9 a.m. every morning. And as you can see, we are back at the Dino's and Mariners restaurant. And as I said earlier in this video, this is where Fiona and I eat lunch every day during our 14 nights on this resort. And this is also where you will find the beach bar. And behind this outdoor basketball court is the room block that Fiona and I spent the first 11 nights and the last 2 nights during our 14 nights at the Sandals Montego Bay. And this, guys, is the restaurant known as Stewfish. But I think at this point in the resort and room tour, it's time to do our final review, and that is of course room 708, where Fiona and I spent the last 2 nights of our vacation here at Sandals Montego Bay. Up here in the same block where our first room was, that is room 607 that we occupied for the first 11 nights of our vacation here at Montego Bay, is room 708, which is on the 3rd floor. It's exactly the same block, but literally 1 room up and 1 room across is the room that we occupied for the last 2 nights of our Moby 70 Nights in the Making adventure. I'm going to take you up there now and do a quick room review of room 708. Room 708 is exactly the mirror image of 607, one floor below, and by mirror image I mean, yes guys, it is exactly the same but the other way around. I think in a previous video I called it the dyslexic version of room 607. You access it using a key card with an RFID tag. Again, not the 1970 style magnetic strip that we had in room 1280 for the one night we were there. You just enter the room into a short corridor. So turning left instead of right, you enter the bathroom. It's got a wide open shower with the two shower heads, rainfall and the wall mounted shower. As I said previously, the showers are actually okay here. They don't set the heather alight for power or performance. They're hot, and what more can you ask? Toilet and this trough type sink for two. So again, unlike the 1980 style room that we occupied, 1280 for one night, which had the two sinks, this has this much more modern trough like sink. Fiona prefers it. She hates me shaving in the same sink that she's using in the morning. And below it, as you can see, there are the usual drawers. And the towels are below that. It is pretty functional, it's absolutely fine. We enter the bedroom itself. Again, the usual super comfortable Sandals super king size bed. It's a super king size, what we would call it in the UK. It's great, it's fantastic. You do come to expect that in Sandals. They're really comfortable beds. Looking over here, you get the mini bar area. Again, this is club level rooms, so you've got the top level liquors, and below that you have the mini bar. They actually restocked it today. As you can see, you've got plenty of Red Stripe, Coke Zero, which we requested. There's a bottle of Pinot Grigio, which was Fiona's desire, water, etc. Coffee making machine. There's coffee in the room. Again, absolutely fine. Coming over here, there's the double wardrobe. We have, because we've moved rooms, here we're on our penultimate night. Most of our clothes are in the cases already to go home tomorrow. But as you can see, there is a safe, wall-mounted safe, combination safe that you would expect in any hotel room. It's again, it's functional. It's absolutely fine. Okay, coming along to my side of the bed. Yeah, guys, I sleep on the right-hand side of the bed. You've got a chest of drawers, 3 drawers. Again, I've only used one. There is a double US 110 volt socket behind, with 2 USB sockets. And again, I really like the way Sandals have put the USB sockets into the multi-sockets beside the bed. Air conditioning unit on the wall, we've set it to I think 18 degrees. Works perfectly well in this room. And again, over in the 6 drawer cabinet, where the TV is mounted above, again, are more USB sockets. I don't think you can have enough USB sockets in a room these days. You know, I've got my laptop, Fiona and I have both got our iPads, our iPhones, our Apple Watches, etc. It's great to have all of these USB sockets. Guys, I can't tell you what the TV's like. Fiona and I don't watch TV when we're in Sandals. To be honest, if there was no TV in the room, we wouldn't care less. And again, over on Fiona's side of the bed here in the room is a workstation. Again, double US 110 volt socket with double USB, a simple drawer and a chair to work on. Again, what else do you need, guys? This room is perfectly acceptable. It's nice, it's airy, it's modern. It's got the ceiling fan there, just like all of the other rooms that you would expect in Sandals. Okay, next let's take a walk out through the double patio doors onto the veranda here at room 708. Again, the doors lock, so again, pretty secure here. Not that it would probably require Spider-Man to get up to this room. But anyway, moving out, just as I come out, the sunset sail has just started as the catamaran moves alongside of the beach. Anyway, as you can see here in the room, we have got a double soaking tub even, which was exactly the same as we had in room 607. And across on this side of the room, we've got 2 comfortable chairs and a table. However, on this room, we do have a hanging area to dry our clothes. But again, what I really think is impressive of this room is the view outside. We're an extra floor higher, so I suppose that puts us another 10 feet or so up in the building. And again, it is an absolutely beautiful view out over the Caribbean Sea. Good grief, did I say Caribbean? I meant Caribbean, of course, being from the UK. Just over 130 miles that way is Cuba, and then 90 miles beyond the north side of the Cuban coast, of course, is Florida in the United States. I'm told that Miami, Fort Lauderdale are only around a 50-minute to 60-minute flight from Montego Bay, the airport, of course, being just behind us. The volleyball pitch just down there. We have Stewfish restaurant is there, and then you've got Marino's and Dino's, of course, where we've been having lunch every day. And beyond that is the Bayside French restaurant, and above that the Italian restaurant. So that really, guys, is the main building for Sandals here at Montego Bay. So that's it, guys, room 708. I'll put in the caption below the exact room category. It's going to be one of these club level beach view with an outside soaking tub. I've got no clue. The Sandals descriptions that you find on their brochure on the internet are all pretty complicated. I can never remember what they are. But anyway, that's room 708. Fiona and I had that for the last 2 nights at our stay here in July 2022 at the Sandals Montego Bay. And that, guys, is going to be it for my tour of the Sandals Montego Bay in July 2022. And as we head back to the centre of the resort, in front of us you can see Dino's and Mariners again. But the last thing I wanted to show you was this outdoor games area where you will find a table tennis and a pool table. And it's also where you'll find a live reggae band on a Tuesday afternoon straight after lunchtime. And on our first Tuesday there, Fiona even joined in. Girl, you're my angel, you're my darling baby. And I'm afraid, guys, if you want to hear more of Fiona singing, you're going to have to tune in to our holiday diary, which is a series that's going to follow this episode here on the channel. So you know what to do if you want to continue to follow Fiona and I as we enjoy Moby 70 Nights in the Making. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon to be notified when the next video is published. The bottom line, guys, Fiona and I really enjoyed our 14 nights at Sandals Montego Bay. And while the resort isn't perfect and it's struggling with some post-pandemic challenges, the staff really are doing their best to provide a fantastic and awesome customer experience. So I'm going to finish this resort and room tour with a wrap up and some final thoughts from the Latitude Pier on Tuesday, our penultimate day at Sandals Montego Bay. Right, guys, it is Tuesday and our last full day here at Sandals Montego Bay, and I thought this was going to be a great opportunity to sit down on one of the comfy benches here on the Latitude Pier and talk you through the good, the bad and the ugly regarding this Sandals resort in northern Jamaica. Okay, I'm going to do the good, the bad and the ugly in reverse order because I really do want to end on a high in this resort. It has been a reasonable stay. It's got us good and it's got us bad at this resort. So let's have a look at the good, the bad and the ugly. Right, let's talk about the ugly. This resort is currently having its problems, probably very similar to all of the travel industry problems that we're seeing at this point in 2022 as the pandemic has ended, thank goodness, and the world comes back to normal. Probably the worst thing about Sandals Montego Bay is if you're not in butler category. This resort, we're told, is 70%. That's 70% butler level. And those of you who are not staying at Sandals Montego Bay and are not butler level, you're going to really struggle to get a lounger here on the beach, because one of the privileges here at Sandals, if you're butler level, is you can send your butler out at stupid o'clock in the morning to reserve your lounger here in the beach, leaving absolutely no loungers for anyone else who's not butler level. Here at Sandals Montego Bay, it's even worse because they outsource their laundry. That means that their towels, and that includes their beach towels, are sent on a 2-hour drive to the south coast of Jamaica to be laundered. Invariably, the truck isn't back in the morning until, well, we've noticed that they're not replenishing the towels until at least 9:30 a.m. most mornings, sometimes not at all if there are problems on the road. So those pesky butlers have got all of the beach towels, should I say, in the morning. They've got them all placed out on the loungers here at the beach at Sandals Montego Bay, leaving next to no beach towels for anyone else in the resort. So when you do tend to find beach towels at the Sandals Montego Bay in the afternoon, you do grab them, take them back to your room to use the next morning. Guys, you really shouldn't have to do that. We've all paid rather a lot of money to stay at this so-called 5-star resort that is Sandals Montego Bay. But sadly, this is something that is becoming a real issue at Sandals. We saw it at the Sandals Antigua, or should I say the Sandals Grand Antigua last year for the first time, and we've really seen it hit home here at Sandals Montego Bay in July 2022. So that's the ugly side of Sandals Montego Bay. Let's have a look at the bad. The one thing that's really frustrating a lot of us that are regular return guests to Sandals is the fact that Sandals, for the 40 years that they've been in existence, have been marketing themselves as a couples only resort. Sadly, in 2022, that is no longer. In fact, over the years, we've noticed that Sandals will take large corporate events and their weddings are getting larger and larger. This week at the Sandals Montego Bay, there was a 100 guest wedding, and sadly, it kicked off outside our room at around 11:30 and midnight when some of the guests decided to have a fight. It was pretty ugly, guys. We had to call in the police, and while I accept that was not Sandals' fault, what is Sandals' fault is they seem to think it's okay to allow these large groups to arrive at the resort, stay 1 or 2 nights only, and cause chaos and mayhem in their wake. When you call Sandals on the telephone to either the front desk here or their sales office back home, you will hear a recorded advertising message, and their advertising, even 40 years on, talks about this resort, or the Sandals resorts per se, being for couples in love. Quite frankly, guys, Sandals simply chase the bottom line these days. They will take any old large group, and really the resort being for pure couples is absolute rubbish these days. It is frustrating, and I wonder where Sandals are going in the future. And as I sit here today on our last full day at the Sandals Montego Bay, I'm not sure if Sandals is for Fiona and I anymore. The large groups are also causing a high occupancy challenge here at the resort as we come out of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I'm really glad to see Sandals coming back to normal high occupancy levels. But again, Sandals are struggling with staff levels here at the resort. So to maintain quality levels at the various restaurants that you need to book here on site, Sandals are restricting the number of guests in each of the restaurants. So you may have really struggled to get into, say, Butch's or the Bombay across at the Royal Caribbean. The restaurants may look empty, but that is by design from Sandals, because what they're doing is, because they don't have enough staff, they're reducing the number of guests that can eat at each of the restaurants so that they can keep the service levels up. So the question I'm wondering is why Sandals are continuing to take these large groups, causing them real high occupancy challenges here on the resort, while in reality they're solving the problem in the restaurants but not in the rest of the resort. Right, we've looked at the bad and the ugly, so it's now time to finish on a high in this little segment and talk about what's good, in our opinion, at the Sandals Montego Bay. Without a doubt, guys, this resort is gorgeous. I'm sitting on the Latitude Pier here, and behind me is the Sandals Montego Bay Resort itself. It sits along this really beautiful beach in northern Jamaica, and the hard product itself is very, very good. Apart from the one night that we spent in room 1280, The modern refurbished rooms at this resort have been excellent. We've been very happy. Hopefully Sandals will finish that old block that we stayed in for one night and will upgrade those rooms and make them just as nice as the rest of the rooms that we've seen on the resort so far. As ever, over 99% of the staff that we've engaged with during our 14 nights at the Sandals Montego Bay have been absolutely excellent. They've been awesome. They have been fantastic. Of course, there are the one or two that really have no place working in a customer services environment, such as a 5-star Caribbean resort. So Fiona and I want to pass on our personal thanks to the staff here at Sandals Montego Bay that we've engaged with. You've all been super friendly, super helpful, and we have really enjoyed engaging with you all during our 14 nights at the Sandals Montego Bay. However, the real standout feature of Sandals Montego Bay, without a doubt, are the restaurants. Apart from one night at Oleander's restaurant here at the Sandals Montego Bay, all of the restaurants that we visited during our stay have been absolutely fantastic. They've been really good. The food has been at amazing levels of quality. The service really super awesome, and Fiona and I do think that the restaurants are the standout feature of this resort. Of course, we have the Sandals Royal Caribbean really next door. It's a 5-minute shuttle bus ride, and they have got some excellent restaurants too, like the Bombay Indian restaurant and of course the French restaurant, which anyone staying at either resort can transfer between the resorts and enjoy the restaurant at both resorts. And if you're planning a vacation that is going to be something like 14 nights, as Fiona and I have done in July this year, it is a really good point to make, and that is pick a Sandals resort where you have access to other Sandals resorts, and therefore you have a bigger choice of restaurants. Without a doubt, Fiona's and my favourite Sandals resort is still the Sandals Grand St. Lucia, where we have access to the Sandals Halcyon and the Sandals Le Toc restaurants. However, here in Montego Bay, it's not that bad because you do have access to the Sandals Royal Caribbean as well as the restaurants here at Montego Bay. So really guys, if you're going to spend 14 nights at a Sandals resort here in Jamaica, this is a pretty good bet when it comes to food. You're not going to get bored with a food choice during your Sandals vacation if you're staying at the Sandals Montego Bay. So that's it guys, that is in our opinion the good, the bad and the ugly. The last thing I want to say is the weather here during our July 2022 stay at the Sandals Montego Bay has been brilliant. It's been blue sky every day. You are in the tropics, you are going to see clouds and the odd thunderstorm. I think we've only had 2 thunderstorms during our 2022 vacation. They've not disturbed our holiday plans at all. So all in all guys, July 2022 in our opinion has been a really good time to come to Jamaica. Fiona and I overall have really enjoyed our stay, and as long as you can put aside the post-pandemic challenges that Sandals are facing here at the Montego Bay Resort, we would wholeheartedly recommend this resort to anyone looking for summer sun.